We'd like to start out by thanking our valuable sponsors. Sense of Satisfaction by Cricket is the place for all your fragrance needs. Plus, she's got products to heal what ails your skin and your hair. Shop at scentsbycricket.com. Special thanks to our valued sponsor, John Travis, a financial coach and certified Kingdom advisor with Richard Young Associates, a registered investment advisor. Thanks goes to Anna Patterson, my sister in the Lord who faithfully gives to this ministry every month. And to our newest sponsor, LaToya Gerard of Preach the Word Worldwide Network. She is a valued sponsor and a major encourager regarding this ministry. We need and would love to have you as a sponsor. Absolutely no gift is too small. Please note the info regarding giving throughout and at the end of the show, and help us spread these testimonies around the world. Please note that the views and opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily the viewpoints of our sponsors. It's time to hear the story, make the connection, learn the lesson, and gain the wisdom. Are you ready? Let's get charged and be changed. The Sister Speak Brother Break Show. Conversations on grace, healing, and deliverance. This is Marcy Bush. Come on, let's journey together.
And I tell people honestly, I didn't want to date. I didn't want to marry because I had the experience with a blended family.
Okay.
And it was not a good experience.
Gotcha.
So I always said, I don't want to bring another man into my home over my children.
Yes. Okay.
So that was part of why I didn't want to date.
Right. But now your children are grown.
They are.
Still very much a part of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your grands.
Now, yeah. So, well, no, the grands were not there yet.
None of the grands?
None of the grands were.
Okay.
They were not there yet. So because my husband, Willie, and I, we dated for a while.
Really?
Yes, we did. At first, we were just friends. Mm-hmm. So we started off being friends.
Okay.
And I think that's why our relationship today works so well.
So by the time we met him, y'all had been a thing
we
for
had
a
been
long
a thing.
time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I said we at the church.
Yeah. I knew what you were talking about. Yeah.
So y'all had been a thing for a long time.
Yeah.
And then were you nervous? Like, and you say you kind of took your time going into it.
We did. And like I said, and that was part of the reason. And he has kids as well. He has 2 sons.
Okay.
And so we were kind of almost like the same. I used to always tell him, and I knew he used to get kind of upset with me. I was like, you're not ready for me. So, but there was some truth in that. But,
yes.
But yeah. So we dated for a while. And we were friends, and then we dated for a while before we got serious and before, he popped the question. So.
Okay. And so I remember this guy starting to show up at the church. So how did that happen? Because y'all had been together for so long, but he hadn't been there, had he? Or had he visited off and on?
He had visited before, but I don't think, because he came out of a Baptist church.
Okay.
But so did I, but I had been there for a long time. And just the things that he wasn't accustomed to, happening at the church.
Right.
But I recall, so he would come every now and then. But I recall the Sunday that I seen when the change happened. And he probably going to kill me for saying this on camera, but he had an experience. I know Bishop laid hands on him. Bishop, Bishop always, this your man, sister.
Right.
So, and he laid hands on him, but he had an experience. And I could see God peeling those layers off of him I'm just be honest, of religion.
Okay.
Because he was not accustomed to certain things. Why these people running around this church? Why these people standing up the whole while and so loud and all of these things that were different from what he was accustomed to.
Right. And now he's one of those
people. Now he's one of them people running around the church, loud and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
did that, knowing that he was starting to, not saying he didn't have a relationship with Christ, but knowing that now he has begun to have those encounters, and that that the teaching has his ear, and you're under the same teaching.
Yeah.
Did that give you some
Yes, definitely. Because, you think about those kinds of things when you're okay, you serious about this person, and you hopefully headed, down the aisle and everything.
Right.
I know how important God is to me, and I know how important my church and my church family is to me. And of course, I wanted someone who understood that.
Right.
They understood my relationship with God. They understood, like Bishop said, if they don't know where you headed,
right,
that can be an issue.
Oh, yes.
And if you don't have someone who supports where you're headed. So, yeah, that was huge.
Yes.
When I saw his heart started melting towards new beginning, and wanting to come and wanting to be a part of. So that was definitely huge, because I had thought about that. What if?
Right.
Is that gonna make a difference? Of course it would. How, what would my life look like?
Right. Right. And I remember, and I can't remember vividly, but I remember beginning to see him come around more and more, and just seeing the type of person that he was, and knowing, I remember, I think I probably told you one time, girl, y'all give me hope.
Yes.
I mean, you're a little bit older than me.
Yeah.
And just still not knowing if I'll ever be married, and I'm okay either way. But just saying,
right.
that gives me hope that, okay, I might not see him every day, but you ain't got to see everybody. All you need is one.
That's right. That's right.
And it gave me hope to see that this man, you can see that he loves you. You can see that he treasures you. He wants to make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
And just seeing how, his faith in action, his love in action.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing,
Yes.
And so I have said, and of course, nobody ever knows the totality of everything. Every relationship, I don't care how good it is, it's going to have challenges.
Yeah.
Like I said, if it ain't somebody dead or just giving in to everything.
Right, right.
So not saying anyone is perfect.
Right.
However, just seeing, who y'all are is a blessing.
Well, thank you for that. And I recall when we got married, I wrote a poem to him.
Okay.
And it was really sharing my heart, because I remember when I was in my first marriage, and we talked about it being very emotionally and physically abusive and everything. And I remember praying a prayer to God, and I said, God, I do not want to leave this earth without knowing what it feels like to be loved by a man.
Wow. Okay.
And so the title of my poem to him was A Whispered Prayer. No one knew but God,
Right.
that I prayed that prayer.
Right. And God answered.
And God answered my prayer.
Wow. So tell me, are there any parts, I don't know, at some point, you became a grandmother.
Yeah.
And that, I'm sure, you didn't even know there were other valves in your heart to open up.
Let me tell you something. I tease my kids all the time. I said, if I had known being a nana would feel like this, I'd skip y'all and just went straight for them grandbabies. So, because the grandbabies they just touch a different part of your heart.
Yes.
Because their love for you is so pure. It is just so pure.
Yes.
And for me, without responsibility.
Right.
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 So you can love without that weight.
Yes.
When you're a parent, you got the weight of making sure they eat and where they're going to stay and what they're going to do, what kind of person they're going to be, where they're going to go to school, get good grades. All these things come with what, we know now is a function
Yes.
of being a parent.
Yes.
With a grandparent, all of that. You don't have that. You just got that unconditional love, and it just feels so good. Yeah.
Well, Vivian, is there anything that we haven't covered that you feel like you want to share regarding your journey?
I didn't realize, honestly, until I sat on this couch with you. I was like, girl, you've been through some stuff. And I haven't even shared my entire journey.
Right.
Because there are some things that, because there are things that we all go through things. We all go through things. But there are some things that shake our core.
Yeah.
Some things that make you ask God questions you thought you never would ask.
Right.
And I tell everybody, it's okay to ask them questions. He knows our heart anyway.
Yes, he does.
Be honest with him.
Right.
That's how you work your way through it.
Yes.
And so if anything, take my life as an example. I don't mind putting, when I was telling people what I was doing, they was like, oh, I don't know if I'd do that. I don't know if I would tell. If there's anything that I have been through that could help anybody,
yes.
I'm an open book.
Right. Right. You lived through it.
I did. And thank God made it through it.
Yes.
Made it through it. So I'm just thankful for the journey. I'm thankful because the journey made me who I am. Without going through all of those experiences, I wouldn't be who most people look at, boy, you had a hard life. You was this, you grew up poor, you was teenage mother, you was in an abusive relationship. All of those are facts.
Right.
But the truth is,
just look at me now.
I made it through.
Yes.
So, I could sit here all day and share all kind of different experiences, but I think the ones that I did share outside of, there's a couple that's very, we talked about, sensitive.
Right.
But
and maybe one day the Lord will allow for that.
Yes.
I always feel like in time,
yes.
God, we never know what God is doing, the timing for it. You just don't know.
You really
just
don't
know. And so, until God shuts this thing down, we'll be here. You may be one of the ones that come back through and haven't seen again. But I'm grateful that you shared your journey with us. If there was one word that you could use to sum up your life to this moment, what would it be?
Whew, that's a good question. It has to be faith. It has to be, because if I had ever really, really looked at my life and lost sight of who held my life, I couldn't have faced everything that I've gone through.
Yes.
And I think, and it was faith when I didn't even realize it was faith.
Right.
That's the great part to me.
Yeah.
That he had me when I didn't even know he had me. There was something in me telling me to keep going.
Right.
You can overcome this. Not, shutting out the white noise, shutting out the things that people were saying about me, and just having to push forward.
So, as you're talking and talking about faith and how that will be the stamp, on your life, my mind goes back to when we were talking about that 16-year-old girl in denial. And so at a time when you didn't even really have the kind of relationship with God that you have come to have.
Right.
Like you hadn't even surrendered to him. There's like he did this flip in your life where denial is not going to serve you well. And he took you from this place called denial and put into like action in your life. Faith. Without you even knowing it?
Without me knowing it. That's when I really do think the switch was made. Because like we talked about before, I'm looking at this little person that's now depending on me because I can't count on anyone else.
Right.
I birthed this child. that's depending on me, and I'm saying I got to do something better for him to have a better life. And then I go enroll in school with no transportation.
Right.
That's faith.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
He did that.
Yes. And so as crazy as it would seem that you with your little quiet, like unassuming, I won't say quiet, but reserved.
Yeah.
You know, you said you didn't do a whole lot of mingling with people. You were kind of isolated or whatever.
Right.
That little self and this big, I got a person now. But what seems like could have taken you out as far as I can't do this. He's what actually like lit the fire.
He did.
To your faith.
He did.
So, and I mean, we know it, but just thinking without him entering your life at that time, there's no telling what your life would look like.
There is no telling. So what a lot of people looked at as, I ain't gonna say a curse, but a mistake, a sin, all of this turned out to be one of my biggest blessings to turn my life.
Who you were.
Yeah, exactly.
It made you go to the core of who you were.
Exactly.
It made you tap into, even though you didn't know it.
Exactly.
It made you tap into who God had made you, what He'd placed in you.
Yes.
Because God wasn't surprised by the pregnancy.
He wasn't.
You were built for everything that came in your life.
Exactly. And my favorite scripture is Romans 8:28. For now I know.
Yes.
That all things work together for the good. Didn't know it then.
Right.
Didn't have a clue then.
Exactly.
What He was doing, what He was building, or who I would become.
Right.
But it was working for me.
Yes. Every bit of it.
Every bit of it was working for me because it gave me from that point, and I still live my life like that to this day. When things come, you know, I get sad, I cry, I go through, but I say, okay, I got to square my shoulders and I got to do this.
Yes, yes. So let me ask you, if you could talk to the little cheerleader girl out there with the pom-poms, 5 months pregnant, scared, don't know what to do.
Don't know what to do.
I ain't really pregnant. I ain't really. If you could talk to that young lady,
wow,
what would you tell her?
Wow. I know you're scared. I know you don't know what you're going to do. But it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. No matter what, He going to make it good.
Yes. 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 That's good. Well, Vivian, I want to thank you so much for taking out the time to share, for going down memory lane. Like I always tell my guests, I know, you know, even if somebody, there are some people who are like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready. And there's some people who are like, okay, sure. But as you begin the journey, there's still those like, oh, okay. And then once we get to the couch, making it to the couch is a journey, then sitting here, going through it, then afterwards knowing like, I let that out. All of that.
Right.
All of those are different, you know, areas.
That's right.
But I'm grateful that you all do it. I've had to do it, and I know it's not easy. Yeah. But like you said, we want our lives to build hope for somebody else.
Yeah.
That no matter what their life looks like, God is able. So
yes.
I'm
and thank
grateful.
you. I want to say thank you for giving people this platform to be able to share. Because I'm sure by talking to you and being here, there's going to be people that I would never encounter.
Right.
Or have the opportunity to share my journey with.
Yes.
To give them the chance of having hope.
Yes. And the other thing I always want too is for conversations to take place after our conversation.
Right.
You know, there may be like people in your family who like, I didn't know you went through that.
Yes.
There may be people who can see, like we said about even your children making decisions, having to do certain things. There's somebody that can look, and I always want conversations to come after this. And so I do. I thank you. I always encourage it. Know that there will be people that you never know, probably till we get to heaven.
Yes.
Who say, "Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
I saw you and you helped me."
Yeah.
So thank you for your journey.
Thank
We'll do it
you.
again. And I want to thank you for joining us on the Sister Speak Brother Break show. I'm asking you to share this conversation, this series of shows, episodes with someone else, because you never know where somebody finds themselves right now. And it may not be that it's a pregnant teen or an abused wife, but it could be a situation where they feel their back is against the wall. You know, maybe it's somebody who wants another shot at love, but doesn't know if they can really do it. You don't know where a person is or what they're going through or what nugget they pull from what's said. So I just want to ask you to share it because I know it's going to bless somebody's life. And then I want to ask you to join us here, same place, same time next week for the Sister Speak Brother Break show. Be blessed. What did it feel like that day when you got ready to pick up that phone to call the lawyer to say, hold up? Were you like, Pat, what in the world are you doing?
I really was just like that. I'm like, why am I calling this lawyer, telling him to hold up, not to go, we're not going back to court right now on this last trip to make this divorce proceedings final. And I'm like, why am I? I said, I can't get no money back. I said, oh God, wait a minute.
And come to find out what had happened?
My feelings was changing towards Maurice. And I was falling back because I hadn't felt out of love. I loved him. I loved him because he was Deshauna's dad. And I respected him because his position, he was Deshauna's dad. But as far as in love with him, as a husband and wife supposed to be, all that was gone. During all that time, you know, that time away and everything that had went on with us. All that was gone.
Because you saw what freedom felt like. And not being in that constant stress.
Exactly.
But God had other plans.
But God had other plans. And I did not know that was the plan that he had was for us. But he changed my heart toward Maurice.
Right on my birthday, I went out with some friends and I got blitzed. I got so drunk and they had to take me in the house. And during this segment, when they took me in the house, I laid down and got in the bed and I went into this dream. I started dreaming about I was standing before a judge. And when I was standing before a judge, Deshauna was standing inside my leg, pulling on my pants leg. And she kept calling my name, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. And I could not, I tried to look at her, but I couldn't. Inside of this dream and watching myself, and I was looking at me like I was standing right in front of this picture. That's the night the Lord showed up.
Okay.
Told me to get up. He told me to get up and clean his house up. I threw everything out. I probably had during that time, probably about a case and a half of beer. And a foot tub, ice down. And he told me to get up and clean the house up. I put the beer outside the door. I mopped every room in the house. Took everything out the refrigerator. And he told me to go back to sleep. The very next morning, my mother was sitting on the porch. I said, Mama, you ain't gonna have no trouble out of me no more. She said, what, boy? I said, you ain't gonna never have no trouble like me no more. She said, what you talking about? I said, an angel of the Lord showed up last night and told me I couldn't drink no more. She said, stop playing. I said, Mama, I ain't playing. And I was free.
Now that dialysis wasn't a put down for me, even though I felt embarrassed for running in isolation. But
Right.
it's also during the time that I learned to hear the Lord's voice. Because I was always the type of guy that didn't know whether it was God saying it, me saying it, or the devil saying it. Because I had a whole lot of that in me too. So I never knew what was being said, who was saying it. I was always guessing. Everything was a guess for me, unless I had talked to my dad or somebody, you know. And during that time, I would spend that time studying and reading and things like that. Oh my God, did I? I would go to read. I would read about 2 or 3 books a month.
Okay.
That's just how much reading and stuff I was doing. So it's so much stuff that I have on the inside of me too. It's ridiculous. But God used that time to separate me.
Yes.
So that I can learn more of Him.
Yes.
Then I started realizing that that God's voice sounded like my dad to me. And I was like, so that's what He sounded to me.
Right.
For different people, it sounds different.
Right.
But to me, it was my dad's voice. So I knew that's God.
Yes.
But I learned that. So even if my journey started over and I got the opportunity to write in what I want to go through, dialysis would be one of them.
Wow. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you've been blessed by today's show, feel free to let us know. And if you'd like to sow into this ministry, become a sponsor, or contact us, you can reach us at 803-221-0169. Or you can email us at thessbbshow@gmail.com. Let's continue this journey together. We need and would love to have you as a sponsor. Absolutely no gift is too small. Please note the info regarding giving and help us spread these testimonies around the world.